Here we are. Hello, hello,
Oh.
hello. Oh my goodness. First live stream on my personal channel, DJ Talks Trash. Oh my goodness. If you're not familiar with the other stuff I do, I'm on a little channel called Only Stupid Answers, which is where Sal, hello Sal,
Hi,
and myself, we're doing a show called Mutant Academy. And on that show, we were going through the X-Men movies, and we moved into the X-Men the animated series. And on Patreon, patreon.com/onlystupid-answers, we had a show called Spider-Versity, where we went through the Spider-Man movies, and we went going through the Spider-Man shows. And we got to a show you might have heard of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And it was around this time, somebody in the comments suggested, hey, you guys should do a Superman show. And I was like, perfect. Let's pause on Spider-Versity real quick. Just pause. And Mutant Academy is now our Patreon exclusive show where we're talking about X-Men, the animated series. And this show, in the spirit of those shows, is Krypton Academy. And if you're not familiar with those other shows, please go to Patreon, check them out. But we're going to go through, for this show, we're going to go through all of the Superman movies leading up to James Gunn's 2025 Superman. I'm your host, DJ Woldridge. With me till the arson explodes and we're rocketed into another planet.
Yes,
Sal. Hi, Sal.
What up?
And we've got a boon to us. The skies opened up, and like the other shows, as we lead into the thing that we're leading towards, if news drops, we'll talk about it. And Mr. James Gunn announced today, because I guess it's National Adoption Day, that Krypto, the Superdog, will in fact be in his upcoming Superman film. And I'm like, yes, thank you, yes.
Yes. Well, we know why. Because they're making a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, and Krypto is essential to that movie, or to that comic. And so it's like, well, you can't have Krypto and not have it be connected to Superman.
Yeah.
And I understand that Kara is going to appear also in the Superman movie, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And of course, any person that's already cast, this is unrelated to our show. Any person that already cast could show up in the Superman movie. The part that's unrelated to our show is they cast Jon Stewart, and that actor was in a movie called Rebel Ridge. And if you haven't watched that on Netflix, it is boss. It is so good, and he is great in it. So when it was like, he's Jon Stewart, I'm like, yes. 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 But I will say the other thing that makes sense when we're talking about Krypto being in our Superman film is that James Gunn loves himself an animal sidekick.
Oh my God, you're right. Oh no.
Yeah, he loves it. We have Rocket Raccoon, which I know is straining the rules of animal sidekick, but he is. But I just rewatched The Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah.
Because I've got a newborn. People that don't know are like, hey, it was a month since your last video. I've got a newborn. And so it's hard for me to watch new things. It's easier to watch things that I know and are like I don't have to commit like brain power to. I'm like, I know this movie and I like it, and I'm nursing. I'm feeding the bottle to the baby, and so I rewatched The Suicide Squad, and I forgot that Ratcatcher 2 has her little rat friend,
right?
That is kind of not vital. The movie would be fine without him, but he shows up a lot. Like he's important to the movie. Actually, you know what? He's a key component.
No, he is. They have
Bloodsport's arc.
Yes. No, there's thought behind the rat in Ratcatcher's arsenal.
Yeah.
And that character being, important. Sebastian.
Important.
Thank you. Yes.
So anyway, that's a little bit of Superman news. I'm a big Krypto fan. I kind of do love that James Gunn, similar to in Suicide Squad, he embraced Starro, is willing to embrace. Nothing is too
goofy,
silly, or out of the box.
Yeah. Nothing's too Silver Age.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing too like. We're not going to be embarrassed about, we're not going to pretend we're making a different movie than we are.
Thank you. That's not, like this movie. Like this movie is not trying to be anything else.
Yeah.
And I think this movie isn't precious with itself because it's just trying to be something.
Yeah.
But like I've heard that Kevin Feige like makes everybody watch Superman before like making a movie. And I'm like, Kev, I love you. You're not making this movie.
Yes, because to your point, this is like the first. It's not the first superhero movie.
No.
But it is the first one in the modern sense, as we've
Exactly.
come to understand it in our time. And it's something we will discuss having rewatched it for the show. And to your point, because that was in the back of my mind, Kevin Feige's having them rewatch it. And I'm like, this movie is great. And it was great for the time.
Yes.
But it is not, it's almost 50 years later now. And so there are things that I'm like, why would we do that? Let's not do that. And so this has come to define superhero movies in a lot of ways for the better. In some ways, not for the. I mean, we can move past.
Honestly,
other movies have been made sense.
Oh yeah, no, they've made other movies. Like the 70s isn't the end all be all of cinema, unless you ask anyone in film school. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, the movie is just trying to come out. For me, like watching this movie, all I could think of is just Dick Donner just trying to be like, I hope this movie comes out.
Dude, it's funny because we're gonna so if you're familiar with Mutant Academy, there's gonna be sections for this one. One of those sections was like, here's behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to try, for the sake of like keeping things tight, interject those things as they come up, as opposed to it being its own little segment. But we'll see. And Sal, you were right, because they're basically falling face first down the stairs to just and it feels like I don't know enough. I don't want to throw anybody a bus. No. But the Salkinds seem like a lot. They seem like
a bit much. Yes, they insist upon themselves. It's true.
They insist upon themselves. But so I don't. If we haven't officially said the movie we're talking about, we are talking about Superman, the 1978 first Superman film, sometimes marketed as Superman the movie, which is how I will refer to it as, to help differentiate it from the Superman movie that's coming out. It's coming out, formerly known as Superman Legacy, that new one. Also worth mentioning, as with Mutant Academy, if you would like us to read your comment on the air, there's a little thing called the Super Chat. That if you do a Super Chat, I'm going to read that bad boy. This is my first time using the Super Chat on my personal channel. So, if somebody wants to test it out so I know that it works, hey, that'd be great. I don't want to, just to make sure everything's wired right. But yeah, so this is going to be a monthly show talking about Superman movies. We're talking about Superman the movie, starting at the beginning. So we got one. Lenny Laserdisc coming in with the save. Lenny Laserdisc says, love the timing of this live feed and James Gunn revealing a photo of Krypto. Yes. I adore this movie, by the way. So let's get into this movie. Which, as Sal pointed out, was directed by Richard Donner, who normally I like to list. He's done other things like Omen, but like this is the thing he's known for.
It's Superman the movie, which, by the way, I will only accept this title as Superman the movie because I don't know about you. I love the period when they were calling things the movie, when they were like, it's like almost you have permission to like this thing now because we have the movie.
We have the movie, and it's interesting watching this movie, and we'll be getting into it because. I think one of the things that makes sense in the context, but doesn't really work through a modern lens, is they almost treat this like a biopic, where it's like, here's all the things. And it's like, we could have, you know what I mean? We could have cut, honestly, dude, because it's where we start. I would have cut Krypton, cut all the Krypton stuff. Just cut it out.
I remember trying to watch the movie in high school again, because I saw it as a kid, but watching this Krypton scene, I was like, did I slide into another reality where like there's a whole other movie taking place on Krypton? And then of course Snyder being like, let's do that. And it's like,
we did it again with Man of Steel. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's a bad instinct. I really think
a bad call. Don't show Krypton. We don't like Krypton.
Yeah.
Krypton is boring. It's drab. They can't have sex. We're not interested. We don't want Superman to go back to Krypton. We care about Superman, the last Kryptonian.
I also think that the more time you spend on Krypton, because here's the thing, people like to go to Krypton, but they don't like to take the time to really think out how is Krypton different than Earth? And also, why did everybody die? Because it's this conflicting idea of it's a massive spacefaring, technologically advanced civilization that for some reason was wiped out when their planet was destroyed. And that works as far as
a myth.
As a myth, exactly, as a myth. And I think the it's captured the best. And I think hopefully James Gunn, if he decides to touch on the origin at all, pulls from this resource. And I'm surprised we haven't pulled from him more. And it's All-Star Superman, because that distills it down to the most mythic possible.
100%.
Dying planet, rocket ship, now baby on Earth. And it's like, that's all you need.
You literally just need like Morgan Freeman to read those lines.
Yes.
And just that's how the movie opens. Just like, doomed planet, kindly couple, last hope.
Dude.
We're ready to go.
And-
I'll probably make this comparison a lot when we talk about Superman, but the animated series also got it, where they were like, let's start with Superman.
Yeah. Yes.
And then down the line, we'll do an episode to tell you about Krypton and link it with one of the best villains the show reinvented, Brainiac.
Yeah, well, exactly. We'll get into this will become a running theme through our show of times that this could have been Brainiac. We could have just done Brainiac already.
There's so many times it could have been Brainiac. I gotta tell you, man,
Brainiac.
The problem with comic book Brainiac is he does not lend himself to being cool or interesting. So it's like, it's not in their initial, like for us, we have like 4 different awesome interpretations of Brainiac, whether you're a Legion of Superheroes fan or you like the cartoon version.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're a fan of Errol Flynn or Mentalists, you could like the Fine version. But like outside of that, that was kind of it. And no one really went like, oh man, you'll be dope. Brainiac. People were more like, dude, Metallo, Superman could punch that guy. Yeah.
But it's, I think that's absolutely, watching this movie really cemented. That's how because Superman's spoilers, everybody. Superman's our main character. So I think it's actually a really good idea. You know what? Smallville did this too. You should experience Krypton through the eyes of Clark, which is his artifacts from a place he'll never know. And that way, that helps you avoid all of the like, why did they all die? It kind of doesn't. If Clark doesn't know, we don't need to know. And all that matters is that they did.
Right.
And we can kind of move on.
Yeah. Like if Clark is worried about how Lana thinks or about like what's going to happen to the farm, he's not really that focused on like Space Dad, you know?
Yeah.
There are other interpretations. I'm not going to make this a rag on Zack Snyder podcast, but like there are other interpretations that like really think that like Jor-El is awesome and that like we need to like really focus on that stuff, and like Pa's wrong.
Yeah.
This is the opposite.
Yes.
You know, where like Jor-El's there, and even Jor-El, like he's because it's Brando, spoilers. He's so detached.
Yes.
It's almost like he knows you're not gonna love me the way I love you. Like you're like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna try and use my future technology to try and like jockey for parental control. Like I'm a ghost. I've been dead according to this movie for thousands of years.
Dude, I'm glad you said it, because it was one of those things. There was moments where I'm like, wait,
what
am I baby brain audio hallucinations? Because there's a moment where he says, I've been dead 1,000 years. And then like 2 scenes later, Lex Luthor's like, well, he said Krypton blew up in 1948. I'm like, fucking time out. What?
Right?
What timeline are we working on here?
I don't know, and neither do they.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, the one, again, not to keep on our tangent, but again, people that may not be familiar, this is a part of the show.
This is the show.
The one that I think did a pretty good job with it, actually, was the new animated My Adventures with Superman show. Not to spoil that show, but they basically explain like Brainiac, because they kind of pull from Superman the animated series, where Brainiac was the thing that kind of ran all of Krypton.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, they were a spacefaring civilization, but Brainiac didn't think they were like dictatorial enough. He didn't think they were Kryptonian enough. Yeah. So he basically orchestrated it so like when the planet went, everybody went. Like he made sure that happened. And I'm like, that worked good. That works. Also, to our initial point, that's not our starting point. We don't find that out till halfway through season 2.
It's true. By that point, we love Superman. We're as concerned and upset and surprised as he is.
Yeah. Okay, so I think like just to yada yada, because we've been talking about it, but it's like the first 30 minutes of this movie is all Krypton stuff. We start with the trial of Zod, Ursa, and Non, which I like. Sal, you and I saw this when we were kids because it was already around, and it's been part of the like
the
cultural whatever. So I knew that, but watching it, I'm like, this is a wild choice.
It's a really weird choice. Like you're setting up sequel bait in the first scene of your movie.
Technically, it starts with like old school, like curtains parting and like an old serial film, that is how the audience watching this. If they're not watching the George Reeve show, so a little history. Before this movie, there was a popular George Reeve TV series. And then before that, there were serials that nobody remembers because they're bad.
And there's radio shows as well. They're also just
when the radio shows are actually really, that's just not how we consume media anymore, so I forget. But that's where we got Krypton. Isn't that where we got Jimmy Olsen?
I
Just the
believe
radio
so.
shows? Okay,
Yeah.
So
They're
like,
just ways to get children to be hooked on the show. Yeah.
absolutely. So this, the curtain parts, and it's an old school like serial, 4x4, like
Yeah.
title sequence, which is about the Daily Planet for some reason. That should have been your Krypton. Planet existed, blew up. Title sequence. Now we're on Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. We know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the thing with Superman is it's so weird how the people who make these movies and these adaptations, like, they're so worried you're not going to know who Superman is. And I'm like, yo, this isn't a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like, we're not talking about we're not showing you a cavalcade of characters that don't, have any cultural footing.
Yeah.
This is Superman. You can take liberties with when you take liberties narratively. Like, you can assume people know who Superman is.
Yep.
It's really rare you can do that.
Yeah.
Where you can go, you know what? You get it.
Superman,
like, you get it without having to see a single movie.
Yeah, Superman is so ubiquitous.
Yes.
We can introduce a character like Omni-Man or Homelander,
right?
And be like, you get it.
It's Superman, right?
It's a completely different character, but you're like, you know.
But you get it. But you get it. I mean, like, Invincible didn't take much time explaining who the Viltrumites were.
Yeah.
It's like evil Kryptonians. Got it? Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And again, that's later in the run. Because at first you're like, you're going to see that. You're going to know Superman. And everybody's so familiar with Superman's origin. You're going to be like, Superman. Got it.
Yes.
So true. In the super chat, Moopy Flooperton said, love to see DJ and Sal in each other's channel. I love it too.
Me too.
Moopy. Thank you, Moopy. So we do the
titles,
curtains. We do the titles, which went on for a very long time.
It's a little too long.
Then we would get to Krypton, which is very indebted to 2001: A Space Odyssey. And not, it looks cool. It's cool and everything when meeting all the 13 people that live on that planet, apparently. But it's just weird. And we spent a lot of time with the trial of Zod, and then this is the part I love. That, like, modern stuff we'd have to spend a little more time on, where they're like, Jor-El, if you tell the people of Krypton our planet's going to explode, we're going to be mad about it. And Jor-El's like, okay, well, I guess my wife and I and the rest of the civilization have to be damned because you'll be mad.
because you'll be mad for the 20 seconds we have left. Like, give me a break.
I guess that you could infer that it's like he just threw Zod or Sanan into a space mirror. So it's like, well, I would rather die than be in that space mirror. So
right. The space mirror does raise some questions, but again, it's like,
yeah. I feel like you could do, again, like, I feel like in a modern retelling, you could use the Phantom Zone more. Like, you could be like, you could introduce an idea like, the Kryptonians are like, the planet's going to explode and we're all going to hide out in the Phantom Zone. And Jor-El's like, do you know what happens to people in the Phantom Zone? That's an awful idea.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. And they're like, too bad. So by the time, technically a lot of Kryptonians escape, but they're all like, no, so cuckoo by the time Superman finds them.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Spoiler, the planet explodes. And here's where we get into some of the like, wait, what? Because, you feel like you're pretty familiar with the movie, and then rewatching, you're like, hold on. Clark grows up in his little space pod thing. And also Jor-El throws out some wild lines. He's kind of like, listen, I'm going to educate you about the universe and the 23 known galaxies. And I'm like, time out. I have to look this up because I know it's 28 known galaxies. And just for reference, for our little dinky ass planet, we are aware of billions of known galaxies.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's 51 in our local group.
Yeah. It's really weird. It's really weird. Like, all the education, all the Jor-El stuff, everything Jor-El, I'm almost positive that he made up. Like, that he just, because he's infamously a pain in the ass on set. That he didn't, like, he said he would come back and then he wouldn't come back. Like, there's just, if you want to know how like insane Brando is, go see a movie called The Freshman. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, I'm not going to say any of these lines. I'm going to say Krypton. Mm-hmm. And and I'm just gonna make up shit, and you're just like, okay. I mean, I'm not paying attention to half the things he's saying because none of it is relevant. No. I mean, like,
well, here's the one that they keep bringing up, and I can't figure out if it was like a cut plot.
It is forbidden.
Don't interfere with human history.
What?
What is that? What do you mean? What does that mean?
I think they think that means that he can travel through time. Like, I think they're like, no, we're going to set up ahead of time in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
That Superman has the ability to time travel, and
Yeah.
he knows it,
Yeah.
but he will not use it, and he only breaks that rule the one time because he says it. Like, I think he goes into the sky, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Like Cloud Mufasa comes in like, "Don't interfere,
don't go back in time." And I'm like,
we're
yeah,
jumping way ahead. But even as a kid, I'm like, I hate it that he rewound the planet. I hate it.
I remember as a kid being confused. I was like, "Is that a thing?"
Yeah.
Like, do you mean if that were possible, that's how it works? And I'm like, not even a little bit.
No.
I don't know who came up with that idea.
Everything would just fly off the planet. Everything on the surface would just fly off into space.
Yeah, like I love the moment when he's like, it stops for a second. I'm like, oh my god, what a nightmare.
That's bad. That's bad. So real quick, this is where I'm going to interject a little bit of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Sal's brought this up on other shows. Marlon Brando infamously refused to learn any lines, so they had to like hide cue cards throughout the set because he refused to learn them. In the first meeting with Richard Donner, he's like, what if Jor-El was like a bagel and spoke to him psychically? Which, who knows if that was a joke or whatnot.
No way.
I also wanted to mention that they were, at one point, had the film in Italy. And Brando had it. Brando had it in his contract to complete all the scenes in 12 days. He also refused to. This is what I just said. Memorize his dialogue. So cue cards were compiled across the set. Marlon Brando found out he could not film in Italy because of a warrant out for his arrest, a sexual obscenity charge from Last Tango in Paris. I did not follow up on.
I don't know what that is.
Tango in Paris, but I think that says a lot about Mr. Marlon Brando. Yeah.
At some point or another, you have to go, is this guy a genius or just kind of an asshole? Doesn't learn his lines, like he refuses to wear pants, just all this stuff. And it's like, is it worth it? Like you think about him being Colonel Kurtz and you're like, he was good.
Yeah.
But
there's another situation, dude. That is filmmaking. That is some genius filmmaking. Because he came in, if I remember correctly, he was like overweight.
Yep.
And he went on the lines, and they turned those sequences into something really haunting. But that's just pure.
That's the other guys. That's not Brando.
Overcoming Brando.
Yeah, that's art from adversity.
Yes.
But at some point you go like, I mean, you got Duvall, you got like you got all these, you got Sheen, you got these great actors. The 70s produced some pretty fantastic actors. Yep, like I will say, The Godfather is hinged on Brando.
Yeah.
Undeniable. But notorious a-hole for Godfather Part 2 to the point where he's not in the damn thing, and it won Best Picture too. So like, I don't know, maybe you don't need him.
It's the same thing like when you find out and you hear some of the behind the scenes stuff from Joker 2. And Todd Phillips and Lady Gaga try to spin it as like, no, it was great. Joaquin would come in and everything we had planned for the day, he would just throw it out and be like, we're doing this now. And it's like, you're saying that like it's a positive thing, but it sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, that sounds like an uninsurable movie.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, Kal-El grows up a little bit and gets a little space daddy lesson on his way to Earth, where classically he crash lands right next to Mom, who will become Mom, Pa Kent.
Right.
It's worth mentioning that, when they discover him, he helps Pa change the dial. And when they first find him, we see a little baby Clark Dick. We do.
Yeah. The movie's unafraid of dicks. Nope. The 70s was like, we're changing the whole game, folks.
Could you imagine being like, I was baby dick out, Clark Kent.
Dicks out for Superman. I think, no, I mean, honestly, like, on one hand, I also like, I applaud their bravery and the like joy of children, they're babies. They're babies.
Yeah.
It's not exactly nudity. It's just kind of like, they're babies. But at the same time, also, it's kind of like, I mean, maybe you don't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot to see whether he was circumcised or not, which tells us stuff about Krypton that, I didn't even think
that's
to
true.
ask.
That's
I didn't
true.
even know to ask.
But like we do, I would Simpsons it, where it's like, you get the butt.
Yeah.
Baby butts.
But also full... I put a onesie on my baby. You're not going to put a space onesie on your baby before sending him out and maybe they're just, maybe it's like the Star Trek time where it's like, hey man, free sex, free love.
I mean, it's the early 70s. They're definitely like, oh yeah, man, who cares? No, you're gonna see that. and you're gonna just have to live with it. And it's like, all right, and then not since Nirvana's album have we seen
exactly
that level of unbridled artistic freedom.
So we flash forward a little bit. So the movie's basically broken into 3 parts that are not the most organically seamed
Structured.
together. But here's something I do love about it that I wish we were more open with now, is that not a single flying fuck is given about making each of those feel cohesive. Like Krypton feels like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Smallville feels like Norman Rockwell.
Yep.
Metropolis feels like it's a little like cartoony, but it feels like All the President's Men. Like it's, it feels like a modern 70s.
Yeah, it looks like a movie that's about like reporters in the 70s. Like it looks
Yeah,
like
and it's like,
All the
good.
President's
I
Men.
like that instinct. Yeah, you don't need, like that Marvel instinct of like everything needs to feel the same. Get the fuck out of here with that.
No,
Who cares?
no, and that's I think that's why like there are a contingent of us who are like, put the Battinson universe in the DC universe.
Yes,
like I want Gotham to feel different, almost like if you were to shoot like a world's finest movie.
Yeah,
you have like different directors shoot the sequences in their movies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you have James Gunn like direct the part where Superman's in Metropolis.
Yeah,
and when he goes to Gotham, obviously Matt Reeves would rather die than be part of a cohesive universe, but get the new guy.
Yeah, well,
to direct that part. Like, I don't know.
And I think you and I are 100% on the same page, especially since, and I talked about this, we were doing on OSA, my other show, we were talking about this where we love to pull from Long Halloween. But we always avoid one of the key things that makes Long Halloween such an iconic story is it's one of the most iconic times we've told the story of how Batman went from fighting gangsters to fighting supervillains. That is the meta narrative of that story. And every time we're like, well, no, it's still grounded. It's like, but that's not the point of the long.
Right, but like the villains kill all the gangsters. Like they supplant them eventually. The gangsters, it's like the last gasp of the old guard of Gotham's criminality. Like, that's cool.
And the closest we get to that, and we don't pay it off, and it's outside reasons for that. But I remember, feeling that energy in The Dark Knight when Joker's like, Gotham deserves a better class of criminals.
Yes.
Because your comic book brain is like, this is it, man.
That's right.
This moment, Joker doing this is the moment where the floodgates open.
Yeah. At first, Joker's like, maybe I'll rip off these. But like in the beginning, Joker's like, I'm gonna rip off these guys. I'm gonna make some money. I'm gonna get out of here. But like, no, then he's like, oh, I like Batman. I like this. I like this. Like, I'm gonna knock off all these guys and just make room for more me's.
Yeah.
That's such a cool idea. Like, and then he meets Harvey and he's like, holy shit, it's working.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't Dark Knight Rises is the weakest of those 3 movies. I don't hate it as much as a lot of other people, but there's still that part of you like, but I want that
Gotham
Batman universe. I desperately want that scene in Batman animated series where he's walking through Arkham Asylum and it's just all the rogues around him.
Well, they kind of did that a little bit with the Batman. They're working on it. Like the Batman seems to be setting it up.
But it's like, as he's like, oh, it's going to stay super grounded. It's like, but Mr. Freeze.
Right, but Man-Bat, but Clayface, but all the villains that are fun. Killer Croc. Oh, nobody's got a skin disease. Yeah, no one's not making these movies anymore, man.
Yeah, we did that. You're not. I hate to break it. I really like the Batman. You're not going to beat the Dark Knight trilogy. You're just not. You're just not going to do it. So maybe,
man.
So it'd be cool for those reasons because I'd like to, that feels like cool. The Batman is grounded. Have him team up with Superman. The other thing I wanted to mention because again, I'm watching old movies, so I don't remember why, but I had popped down Batman Forever for the first time since I was like a kid. And I don't have any nostalgia for Batman and Robin. As a kid, I was like, oh, this is bad. Batman Forever, that hit me I was at the exact right age where Batman Returns was too scary for me, but Batman Forever, like, this is my jam. And but I looked it up.
Oh yeah, the Schumacher cut.
Well, no, not the Schumacher cut, but like the time, and it's like you could have this. No, this wasn't even a glimmer. Anybody, nobody would have thought of it, but like you could have had Michael Keaton's Batman have a movie where he faces Christopher Reeve Superman instead of Batman Forever. You could have done that.
Yep.
And I want to live in that reality. Christopher Reeve never had his accident because he was too busy filming this Batman
movie. Yeah. Oh my God.
And to your point, you're like, but the Burton's Gotham feels nothing like this Christopher Reeve's Metropolis. I'm
Superman.
Like, exactly.
Exactly.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. No, it should feel weird. It should feel weird. I was so like, there was a part of me, I knew how the Batman was going to go, but when Batman becomes a hero instead of a vigilante, like, or
Yeah.
a weapon of vengeance,
Yeah.
and the sun comes out, I was kind of hoping Superman was going to show up.
In
Like,
your heart,
just fly down
and
and be like, looks like you
man.
could use a hand. Ah! Like, because he's like, look, I was on the fence about you.
Yeah.
But like, this is too big. You can't stop the water. But like, B, maybe you're actually a good thing.
Yeah,
for this
maybe
world.
we can be cool.
We'll
see.
There's a great Alex Ross image of, by the way, Chris Reeve Superman, Michael Keaton's Batman, and I believe it's Linda Carter Wonder Woman and John Wesley Shipp's Flash.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man,
yeah. In another Earth in the multiverse, but in this one, anyway, Smallville stuff. We're in Smallville. Norman Rockwell, Clark is bullied by other kids, and we get this great moment that I actually really like. So we get him. He outruns them. He outruns a train. It's still it's dated, but and he beats them to his house or whatever, and they're like, Clark. But he has this great moment with Pa Kent, where he's kind of like, Pa, why can't? And we love to do this in super movies. I just rewatched Incredibles. There's a moment like this with Dash, but I actually think the way they approach it here is great. Yeah, because he's like, I can do all this stuff. Like, why can't I be star quarterback or whatever? And Pa's like, listen, Clark, this is so much better than everything. Literally every single Pa thing in Man of Steel. This is so much better than all of it.
This is what I was hoping for. I'm like, oh my God, you cast like America's dad. Yeah. Let's go. And then he's like, kill all your enemies.
Yeah, they invert this for like no good reason. But he's like, listen, when we first got you, we saw what you could do. We were afraid they were going to take you away.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you grow and you realize some stuff, and that's not really our fear anymore. But the delivery of it, it's fantastic because it's kind of like this is his first time really articulating it. Like, these are feelings he's had, but this is the first time because he's kind of like, you're here for I feel like you're here for a reason.
For a reason. Yeah.
I don't know whose reason.
I don't know.
God, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you're here. And it's not for touchdowns. Like, it can't be for that.
Yes.
And it's like, this feels really real. This feels like it doesn't feel because you got to explain why didn't Clark. This serves this is a narrative like support beam, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a real human. Like, this is.
Yeah, no, it may be my favorite part of the movie. Like, I like all the Superman stuff, but like, for me, this is the strongest part.
Yeah.
Which is them actually taking narrative time away from a fight scene or a spectacular display of powers. Because the poster just had a logo and it said, "You'll believe a man can fly."
Yep.
They're like, listen, you're going to see flight in a movie like you've never seen before. You're welcome. Like, that, like, literally, that was like the marketing for this movie was just like, we're going to sell you believable Superman.
Yeah.
And that is on display, and it is good.
Yeah,
and it gets worse progressively as the movies go on.
Yeah,
but I believe a man can fly because of these scenes more, and these are the scenes. But also that they took the time. They're like, yeah, you'll believe a man can fly. You'll also be bored to tears by a scene in space, and you're also going to have to deal with a lot of scenes of this like actor that isn't Christopher Reeve with Christopher Reeve's voice.
Yep.
And you're still and as a child, you're gonna like you have this really uncanny valley reception with this movie where you're gonna go. Like the running looks weird, but like so does a kid running faster than a train. Mm-hmm. So it makes me think I shouldn't see this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it creates this kind of like weird uncanny valley that makes me go, this is spectacular because it's so effing foreign to me.
Yeah.
But those scenes with Pa, when he dies, spoilers, when he dies.
Yeah. Literally at the end of the scene, that's literally the next thing that happens. Heart attack.
Oh no. He dies. You don't see it coming, and it hurts. As a kid, I remember first seeing this movie, and him dying, and going, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
like I couldn't handle it.
Yeah,
and I'm still like, this is one of the best like on-screen deaths. And again, thanks Gritty 70s for being like, what would it look like if an old man had a heart attack in the middle of a field, and that he was like, my son needs more guidance, but I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Like, that's so dark.
Well, it's funny too because the lesson from it is I actually think is really key to Superman. He literally verbalizes, it's a superhero movie. He literally verbalizes like all these powers, and I couldn't save
Couldn't
him.
even save him.
The problem is the movie walks that back at the end, which is kind of a bummer.
No, for me he's like, I should have gone back.
Yeah,
I'm not going to mess that up this time.
I don't like that.
I know, but he's like,
like
no, but also it's like, well, Pa wouldn't have wanted me to do that, blah blah blah. But like, no, this is the time where he's like, I didn't do it. I didn't even know I could do it.
Yeah,
but now I do, and you know what? F you, because for me, Superman is like, life matters more than some silly rule.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're right within the context of
I love Lois.
I like the limit. I like the idea of Superman learning that he has limits.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And this movie's like, no, he doesn't, and it's like, but I like.
Well, he kind of does. Yeah, his limits are self-imposed. He thinks they're not, but then maybe that's what it is. Like, he thinks he has limits, and it's like, yeah, good. But then he finds out I can do anything. I'm a god, and I still don't do it.
Yeah. Which is a key. That is a key Superman. That is a good Superman thing.
Like, I can give everybody crystals, but like, you got Lex Luthor.
I just like the lesson of, you know what I mean? Like, for all these powers, there's some things I can't do. Exactly. I like that lesson more. But
me too.
What you're saying is still very intrinsic.
It still works within Superman. It, and it's all about interpretation. But I'm also on your side with that.
Yeah.
Can I take 2 seconds? I got to close my door. Really quick.
Close your door. Gosh dang it! Everybody, let's cheer on Sal. Close your door. Close your door. Close your door. Oh my goodness. So while we wait for Sal to get back from closing his door, this is the beauty of live, everybody. You never know what's going to happen. After this sequence, there is this sweeping, gorgeous, beautiful shot of Clark and Ma looking off into the horizon. I'm telling about, I don't know if you picked it up watching this time, Sal, but like this beautiful, like, basically Clark needs to go off and be Superman. He finds this crystal and like this sweeping over the field shot. And it's like, I love that, like, Richard Donner's like, every moment in this movie is going to be the most epic thing I can possibly make.
Yes. Yes. It's like, yeah. And all I can think of is like the trailer for Man of Steel, trying to capture those moments, but only for a trailer.
Dude, Zack Snyder makes great trailers.
He makes great music videos.
Great trailers, man. Those trailers make you think like, maybe this is the one. Maybe this one's gonna make me feel the way this trailer makes me feel. Maybe this is it.
But I know better now. I'll never see.
No, not anymore. Again. When you see the trailer for like, what is it? Burning Child or whatever, whatever.
Brightburn or whatever. Yeah, no.
Well,
that was gone, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it's a sci-fi movie that's on a sci-fi.
Oh, his Star Wars.
His Star Wars.
But every shot is beautiful and
remember
sweeping.
the trailer for Watchmen?
Hell yeah! Oh no, I watched that trailer so many times.
Ooh. Anyway,
yeah. But no, this movie is like, that's the thing, is like, that's why you get Dick Donner. That's why I was a little sad that they didn't just go whole hog and just get Spielberg to make the Superman movie.
Dude, well, see, they reached out. It was so funny because this is one of our little factoids. They reached out to Spielberg, and they were like, they were going to, and Jaws hadn't come out yet, and like, we'll wait to see how the Jaws does, which makes sense at the time. Yeah, and then he got too committed to Close Encounters, and I'm like, but a Spielberg Superman movie.
I mean, now, like,
oh yeah, for real.
Why didn't it? Like, I think Gunn's gonna make a great movie. And I guarantee you Metamorpho would never have been in a Spielberg movie.
Yes.
But I also, like, it's okay, like, to make, a 35 millimeter, like, just a sweeping, beautiful Superman movie. And, like, Spielberg would get it.
Yeah.
He gets the idea and the history and the metaphor behind the character. Like, he gets it.
And he's one of our most iconic directors. Why not give him one of
the most iconic superhero?
Yeah, like, come on.
There's no other movie. There's no Marvel character that he could make.
Yeah. Give him, exactly. Anything else would feel like, well,
why didn't you just do
Spielberg's too big for that? With Superman, you're like, Spielberg could do it. The guy that did Indiana Jones, he could do a Superman. Come on.
Exactly. And he could get it. And it's like I know. Anyway, but Dick Donner does a great job with it.
Dick Donner does a good job. For reasons that are unclear to me, Clark just knows to go up north and throw this little crystal he has into the ice.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever. It's the first superhero movie. We're going to cut him a little slack. But I will say the creation of the Fortress of Solitude itself is pretty epic, actually.
I agree. I didn't even know what that was happening as a kid, being like,
yeah,
what is he doing? Why is he doing this? This is the beginning of Crystals, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the first time we see his fortress looking like that.
Yeah, but now that is it. That's it.
Crystals. Yeah, no, and it's cool, and I'm like, why? But it's also the fortress. The Fortress of Solitude is so cold and alien to me.
Yeah,
like I don't. It's funny. Both of my favorite, Superman and Batman both live in caves.
Yep.
That have like trophies to dead people in them.
Yep.
And yet they both represent completely different ends of the spectrum.
Yep.
Yep. But I like Batman's more, and I think it's just because there's more stuff in it.
I like
with Superman. It's just there's always levels.
Yeah, there's always levels, and Batman's more about the toys, literally and figuratively, than Superman is. I also think it's telling that Batman spends more time in his cave than Superman spends in the fortress.
That's very true. That's
very true. Clark, because he's Clark. That's because he's living in that.
He's got a job and work to do. But the thing that works best about that Fortress of Solitude, especially in this movie, is that it's a stark white canvas for his red, yellow, and blue suit to just fly right off the screen into your face.
Yeah.
Every time he's in the fortress or against the fortress, it's just boom. You can only think of and look at Superman. And it's like, that's really cool.
Absolutely. It's almost like they knew what they were doing over here.
Yeah. It's like there's some thought behind like the set design and from the get-go.
Yeah. So I love that after he makes the fortress, he just kind of walks up there, even though we've already established he has super speed. And this is where we get some more Jor-El nonsense. This is where we're talking about. He says, like, by the time you see this, I'll be dead thousands of years. Which, later that appears to not be true, but whatever. Unclear. It's unclear.
It is.
He says again, don't interfere with human history. Let your leadership guide them. I also got little nits to pick. He says, humans, they have a long way to go. All they need is your light. I don't like how condescending Jor-El is to humanity. Like, we're not we're not good without him doing a little Krypton magic on us. Like, calm down. You guys blew yourself up. Fucking cool it. All right.
Yeah, exactly. We have a little lean on you, but at the same time, there is this kind of like generosity. Like Jor-El is the one who believes like in the metaphor. Like he's like, I gave you my only begotten son.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Jor-El.
Yeah.
It adds that mythic nature that clearly they're going for. Like it's almost like, because it's the 70s, it's this anti-establishment period in film and in art and in American like culture, counterculture, if you will. Donner is fully keyed into it. There's this rise in atheism, or at least in the rejection of like, your standard Western religions, and this kind of embracing of like Buddhism and Taoism and all these ideas like from the East.
Yeah.
Could it be that Dick Donner is trying to introduce another religion in this, where he's like, or Superman?
Hey, listen, why not? Why?
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, here, do you find it? And I've tried to think of ways to introduce this or articulate this idea in a more, I guess, in a work of mine or whatever. But I do find this. There's this interesting component of culture births this counterculture figure.
Yes.
That then becomes so ubiquitous and popular that it then becomes the symbol of the thing that it. So like for the Jesus, he's flipping tables. He's like, I'm going to undo the establishment.
Yep.
And then a couple thousand years later, he is then the face of like, actually, because of Jesus, we need to kill all these people, or we need to
even just the Crusades and alone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, because once the counterculture aspect becomes popular enough, it becomes consumed by the establishment. Similar, Superman, obviously, less so. But like when he first shows up, he's throwing out slumlords. He's like, screw the man. A few years later, a couple decades later, he represents Reaganism, and Batman's punching him in the face and stuff.
Yes. Just his mantra of truth, justice, the American way. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's parallels there that I find
Absolutely. No,
compelling.
Superman lends himself to that kind of parallel. And I love that, like, he represents kind of a distinct time from the 70s that like works.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
maybe he does throughout the years. I mean, like, maybe there's a reason why Zack Snyder was so focused on Superman.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why, like, Bryan Singer's Superman is so empty.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, like, I like that movie a lot, kinda. You know what I mean? But
Hey, we'll
kinda.
get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, but, like, and that's the thing. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like, but they all represent something about American culture at the time.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I totally get what you're saying. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Gunn brings to that equation.
Yeah.
But so in this sequence, we get another more space lessons for Clark, where he's like he either is gone into space for 12
Or
years
I think
or
it's
has
gone.
aged 12 years within that time frame.
Mhm.
Unclear.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird.
And it feels like, was this maybe a post decision where like we cut these scenes, but we need to get young Clark to adult Clark. So I guess space montage,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jor-El voiceover.
We just didn't shoot enough.
Yeah. So and now he's fully formed in the costume as Superman. Oh, let's do this one. We haven't used this one yet. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Iconic.
Completely.
And now we are up to the present, and we are introduced to the Daily Planet through Jimmy Olsen's camera lens. We meet Perry White, who basically we learn hires Clark because he's good to his boss, and he's the fastest typist I've ever seen.
All right.
Yeah, that works. That's fine. And right after Clark and Lois are introduced to each other, and by the way, it is worth noting that even in the 70s, we're having to like, hey, isn't this guy a little corny? Isn't this Clark Kent guy a little corny?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. No,
50 years ago, we're already dealing with that.
Yeah, big time. No, they're like, look at his 3-piece suit at work. You got the 70s pop collars. You got flannel introduced in there. You got like the longer hair. Even the Poindexter behind him has longer hair than Superman.
Yep. And hold on. I'm going to talk about Christopher Reeve's performance, but I'm going to wait till he goes full Superman. So we have, we can compare and contrast, because it is remarkable work. It is remarkable work.
It's such remarkable work. It's frustrating because why isn't he better in everything else he's in? Like, because Christopher Reeve's a good actor. I like him and stuff, but like time after time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, all right, let's dive into it, because he's going to show up with Superman in a minute, but rewatching this, a couple feelings. It is a reminder. It is a stark reminder why so many interpretations of the character have struggled to escape the gravitational pull of this specific performance.
Yeah.
That said, I do feel as a Superman fan, we can get. It's 50 years later. And Superman has changed. Our perception of him as a character has changed a lot in that time.
Yes.
And so I do think we can get an equally iconic performance now that is apparent. Compares Jack Nicholson's Joker to Heath Ledger's Joker.
That night and day. It's not homage-y. It's because I think that's the thing. Like, I loved Brandon Routh's Superman so much, but it also is just trying. It's also in the same universe. It's like it's trying to ape off of it a little bit, and that's a shame.
Yeah, and you look at Henry Cavill, that's more of a throwback to like the 50s TV show where they're basically the same guy. They're basically the same guy.
Yeah. Cavill's doing something with it. I wish he'd gotten a different direction, but I liked what Cavill was doing with the character, or at least with his portrayal of Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could get an iconic. I mean, like, it looks very grounded. This James Gunn movie, like when we saw the Kent Ranch compared to like this one versus that one, like no, this is. Like, it's really friggin' modest. Like, it's just a house on like a hill with some grass. Like, it looks like now, And Pa is not like an icon. He's not like Kevin Costner as Pa. It's just some fat guy.
Yeah.
But he could be. But like, just like one of the most influential men in my life was just some heavyset dude who like
just
was
some guy,
very mild mannered looking.
Yeah. And it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up, because when they announced here's our Pa Kent, I'm like, really? And contextualizing that, it's like, you know what? That is a good point, because there is an argument to me that Pa Kent should just be some guy, because that's what he is. He's just some guy.
Yeah, like Uncle Ben.
Yeah, Jor-El should, but even even with Uncle Ben, we get like Michael Sheen and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But only in the movie where they're trying too hard.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Right? Like they just got the president of America in Sketch from LA.
Yeah, to be Uncle Ben, But the other thing watching this is I'm disappointed that now, because of Heath Ledger's Joker's become this figure that Oscar that characters chase to get an Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar for his Joker. Superman should be that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I can understand why a lot of superheroes don't. It's just you're the good guy. You're the and typically the heavy is more interesting, than the face, and the heel's more interesting than the face. Not to mix up my metaphors. And but watching this, you're like, no, though, that could be true of people like Spider-Man and Batman and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Superman, Clark Kent Superman is a performance. It is, and there's something to be said about acting in that, and I think if you gave an actor the right direction to be like, this is something as an actor you should be able to connect to, because Clark is either Clark is putting on a performance as Superman, or Superman's putting on a performance as Clark, or my favorite interpretation, a little bit of both. Bit of both.
Yeah, no, he's like, I love the idea, because like, when Katie Holmes was like, no, this is your mask, people like cheered, because they were like, finally someone did something with this. And I'm like, well, we all go, I don't know, you all missed out on Mask of the Phantasm, but we did that already. And no one had to say it. But with this, no, like for him, he's like, I am Clark. Like my parents raised Clark Kent. It's like Superman is just what I'm trying to be. And
I think that's an interesting reversal, because if you think about it, 100 Batman is the guy. Bruce Wayne is who he is. That's true.
Yeah,
true. And we've talked about this on our Spider-Man show. Spider-Man is an opportunity for Peter to cut loose and be his inner self. I do like the idea of Clark is the real guy, but there is an element of performance in it, because it is how Clark perceives himself. This is how I see myself. It's not who I am, but we do have that component of ourselves. But this is how I see myself as a normal guy.
Yeah. I'm not making fun of you like Bill would have you believe.
Yes. Keep in mind, Bill is the bad guy of that movie. All right?
He's a murderous psycho, and that's his interpretation of Superman. That's not cool. I would have that as a poster in my dorm.
Yeah. So anyway, but I'm jumping ahead. Yeah. But there's an incredible moment, and it's so subtle. Or it's so understated. That's how I say it. It's understated. After Superman has a date with Lois, and then weirdly Clark is like right there, because I guess she double booked and Clark's supposed to have a date. But she goes into the bathroom, and Christopher Reeve, it's not a special effect, it's just his performance. He just changes his posture.
Yep.
And you're like, that's a different guy.
Yeah.
That's a different person.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then to see him just slink back into it when she comes out of the room, because he's like, why am I doing this? Yeah. But you know what it is for him? I think that moment, he's like, I know she likes Superman, but she needs to like the other guy.
Yep.
And it would be cheating. Like, you know what I mean? It would be cheating. Like if I did that. So she needs to fall in love with me. It's so real. It's such a true thing. And it's one of the few times I like kind of get why Superman likes Lois. Not that I don't really understand why Superman likes Lois, but like, I think All-Star Superman did it wrong with me. I don't like that, where he's like, well, Lois, I guess there's just some things I can't help. And I'm like, what? Like, you can't help who you fall in love with. I get that. But also I'm like, that's a kind of a friggin' weird answer. That's a weird answer.
Yeah.
With this, I'm like, I don't like Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. I don't.
Yeah, same.
I don't like her.
She's not bad. Rewatching it, she's not bad.
It's not bad. No, she is working. She is good. And it's not like she's trying too hard. She's this character. She's this version of Lois, and I think she is great.
Yeah.
It ain't my Lois. It's not what I'm looking for.
Yep. Agree.
But I get why this guy loves her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So right after we're introduced to Clark and Lois, they are in the movie, letting you know, by the way, we're still kind of in a cartoon universe. They get robbed by the kookiest. They just kind of like, it's a little kooky sequence with the gun out of the alley, and they're pulled in the alley. It's
also horrible because it's set in 1970s New York, clearly, which is not goofy.
Nope.
Like Scorsese literally shooting Mean Streets over there. at the same time.
and I think that is kind of, I get, because again, in the context, we're coming from the 1950s show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we're kind of letting people know this is in some ways nostalgia bait. Like, hey, remember that thing you loved as a kid? Here it is, taken seriously. But there's still some of those elements weaved in. I do. It's in the DNA of this movie. The idea of like, this guy's kind of goofy and out of date, but seeing the value in that. It's like seeing, what if this was like a real taxi driver style robber? With bumbling Clark Kent, and he cashes up. Like, you can't stop this guy's goodness. You just can't. It doesn't matter how gritty you are. This guy's goodness is going to overcome you.
That's right. Well, and it would be fun to like it would have been more fun, I think. But it's just like, there's so many elements in this movie. Like, I'm not like I'm not giving notes.
Yeah.
To see the change in Metropolis, the longer Superman's there. Like, to watch Metropolis go from New York City, mean streets, Scorsese, to like an idyllic 50s version of New York.
Yeah. Because Superman's flying around. Yeah. So now we get to, this is insane, Sal. We're like 2/3 of the way in the movie.
I know.
And we finally get our segue into the antagonist, who is, of course, Lex Luthor, played by Gene Hackman. Our introduction to this, our segue into this world, is we're following Otis.
Who I don't care for.
Listen, man. I don't. There's a lot. Okay, so it's been a minute since I've seen this movie.
Yes.
I think Gene Hackman's pretty good here. But I remember, here's the things that bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't like Lex Luthor having hair. Although now rewatching as an adult, the wig gag is pretty funny.
It is.
It's kind of funny.
Lex Luthor.
Well, no, not that, but the fact that every time we see him, he's wearing a different wig. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna give Lex Luthor hair, that's a funny way to do it.
Yeah, that is funny. I think,
but the Otis and the Miss Tessmacher of it, I'm like, I don't love this, and it bothers me less in this movie specifically. It bothers me more how we can't seem to let it go. It's to the degree that there's an Otis and Miss Tessmacher in the new Superman movie.
I can't believe it. I'm like, no, like, we had to do that again in Returns with like poor Parker Posey, and I'm like, get out of here with this. But I also understand it in as much as, and I think this is just like another Grant Morrison effect, but I think the movie influenced them. The thing that Lex Luthor is such an egomaniac that he surrounds himself with stupid people.
Yeah, that's fair.
He feels better. Like, his superiority complex will not allow him to philander with anyone who might be able to challenge him. Or he looks like a genius compared to the idiots he surrounds himself with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like either of those things. I like a Lex Luthor that actually is intelligent. I mean, like, but again, I haven't seen a good, I hadn't seen a good interpretation of Lex Luthor on screen until the effing cartoon. I'm a big proponent of Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor. Oh, he's great too. But like,
I think that's the other thing is
that's another animal. Like, that show is just like,
when it comes to like the Otis and Miss Tessmachers of the world, you and I have a different nostalgia point where like Mercy Graves is right there. You have that now. Why not?
Mercy's so cool. Yes. Why not give Lex Luthor a Harley Quinn?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, but also why not? Like, why not? Why not?
And
also, of course, his drive. Like, I feel like that says a lot about. And it's that version of Lex, but it says a lot about Lex. That, like, yeah, of course, my driver is going to be a hot babe that could also murder you.
Yeah.
I'm going to check off as many boxes as I can with one assistant.
Yeah, I don't own utility knives. Like, I have, or no, I don't have unitaskers. I have only utility knives, like, all over my place. Yeah. So
anyway, these cops follow Otis into the entrance of Lex Luthor's secret lair. It is worth noting that this is pre Crisis on Infinite Earth's Man of Steel reboot, where Lex Luthor was a big billionaire businessman. So this is more coming off of mad scientist Lex Luthor, and he's got a secret passageway with when the cop tries to open the door, pushes him in front of a train. I do like Lex Luthor's lair like that.
His lair's cool. I'd like to be there.
It's the same switches as the Ninja Turtles like secret lair. Like, that'd be cool. It'd be cool to live there. That'd be so cool.
His pool is great. I love it.
Yeah, he's got a pool or whatever. And Gene Hackman is hacking it. He's chewing the scenery. He's having a fun time, hamming it up as our number one bad guy. But it's Gene Hackman, so he's doing a good job.
I would have loved to have seen Hackman and Nicholson team up.
You have a few hurdles to leap there, especially since Nicholson's character, Joker, died and
Yeah, you can't
whatever, man. Who
fix that.
cares?
Or like, when Superman went back in time, it fucked up a lot of stuff.
It messed up Flashpoint. No, he's back. Yes,
Yeah.
agreed to that. Those two actors, just seeing those two, I don't know if they've ever been in a movie together.
I don't know if
just
Hackman
seeing
and
them
Nicholson had been together in a movie. Like, that would be so cool, especially if it was in the early 80s or like whatever. Like if it was pre Nicholson, like going off like, about Schmitting, like it would be really cool. Or I guess it's as good as it gets is when he completely drank the Kool-Aid on himself. But like, that would have been cool. And Hackman is so good. Like, Hackman is an actor that I dismissed out of hand as a kid.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
But every time he's in something, he is so good. I mean, obviously now he's retired and makes sense.
Great.
But like, he is so great.
Yeah. And he does a thing that I think is kind of we're missing a lot now. And now, so at the time when I was a kid, I'm like, I want a more serious Lex. But now, as an adult, with all the super movies he had since, like, I love that Lex Luthor's having a goddamn blast. He's having so much fun.
Yeah. I kind of interpret this mostly as Gene Hackman's having fun. Like, oh, geez, I'm making so many. Like, I literally just made the French Connection like not too long ago.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I need something to kind of like center me.
Yeah.
And playing a goofball.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then they do this, and then they do it again in Returns, where it's like, oh, you're just doing that.
Yeah, you're doing the bit. So so now we're introduced to that whole thing. Meanwhile, Lois Lane is on her way to Air Force One's landing Metropolis, whatever. It doesn't matter. The helicopter she's going to go on to go see Air Force One gets an accident. And there is like and that is not the only thing that happens this night that Superman needs to stop.
Yeah.
Air Force One, the place Lois Lane is going to see, also gets struck by lightning. The same night gets struck by lightning and crashes without Superman. I would love to see one of these superhero universes without a superhero, because it would just be like half the population would be wiped out from random accidents, bridge collapses, lightning strikes, like civilization wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
With random accidents. But anyway, what we get here, what essentially happens here is a montage of Superman saving people. This is where we establish Superman as a thing within Metropolis. And it's cool. It's a really fun sequence. He stops a cat burglar that's like suction cupping his way up the side of a building. It's fun. Here's another thing I feel like worth pointing out, because we get this sequence. Perry White wants to know who Superman is. Superman basically schedules a date with Lois. That's where we get to that scene. Something that's worth noting that I feel like somewhere along the line we forgot.
Right.
Christopher Reeve's Superman is funny. He cracks jokes. Like he's like, they're dad jokes, but it's like, where was this? Where is Superman having fun being Superman? Like,
yeah, and we haven't had one pretty much since. Like, even like, well, I mean, in these we do, but like after this, there's no more. I mean, in the cartoon he is, but even then he's still pretty self-serious.
One of my issues with, when it comes to like casting Jon Stewart, obviously there's a whole generation that loves Jon Stewart because he was the Green Lantern in Justice League. Yeah. And I love the Justice League cartoons. But one of my issues with Jon Stewart is he's just another straight man in a team of everybody's so serious. Other than Wally, everybody on that team's super serious.
Oh, yeah. No.
So like even in the animated series that we love, it's like, it's a serious Superman. It's like, I miss joke Superman.
Yeah, I like in the dude, like, we're having fun here. He can afford to make the jokes because he's like, well, I'm invincible and I'll take care of it. Like, and it's not, he doesn't like get wrapped up in it, like the younger characters do in the comics at least. But yeah.
It's cool. So we get this date, and this gets to another thing. Listen, gang, we're on the record. We like this movie. We're not trying to bag on an iconic classic movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck was everybody thinking with the spoken word Lois scene? Like,
oh my god, can you read my mind?
And it rhymes. And apparently, it was originally supposed to be a song that Margot Kidder sang, and then Richard Donner heard it, and he was like, "Never mind." And at that point, I'm like, "Why not cut it? Like, why is this in this movie?"
Yeah. It doesn't need to be as long as it is, like just the sequence in general, because it's a scene that's like we're watching this woman fall in love with this man.
Yeah.
Like, let's watch it on screen. Like, let's watch her literally fall in love with him across her face.
Yeah.
But also, it's just cut it. Just play some beautiful John Williams music and move on. Like, play a good score, have them look at stuff. It's just, I mean, it's obvious. It's literally just Aladdin and Jasmine on the magic carpet. Like
Yes.
it's just magic carpet
Which,
ride
but that is a musical moment
with a fantastic song, a way
yeah.
better song than whatever the hell she's doing. But yeah, it's awful, and there's no reason for it. And I think it's just because Margot Kidder she's a Hollywood actress who was like, I can do many things. I can sing, I can dance, I can juggle. Like I'm a talented, multifaceted actor. And it's like, where for you to just read the words that are on the script?
Yeah,
like
just have to be Lois. I don't know, because then it raises the question. Because Superman does seem to have abilities in this that I'm not familiar with. Can he read her mind? It's unclear.
I think not. I think he's just kind of like condescendingly smiling at her, like, you seem to be going. There's something going on in your head right now that you seem to be very focused on, and I'm just having a good time.
Yeah, I'm going to let you work through it. Okay, in the super chat, we got on Pheasant 11. Do you know about the movie's mustache situation? I am unfamiliar with that. I do like your the question Rorschach.
Yeah, Rorschach combo.
And then Tia 480. I thought James Denton, who played Superman in an All-Star movie, would be a good Pa, and Laura Dern as Martha Kent.
Yeah,
hey man, sounds good to me. Laura Dern as. All right. Yeah. I could see that. So you mentioned the John Williams theme, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's fantastic because it's John. Like, because
he can never escape it.
Yeah, you can never. Well, and here's the thing. Like, my wife was telling me about a TikTok she watched where some musician was like, "Oh yeah, John Williams is my favorite musician," and they're like, "I'm going to play you a little bit of John." The TikToker was like, "I'm going to play you a little bit of these, like a 10-second clip, and see if you can guess what it is." It's like, yeah, it's John Williams. 10 out of 10 times you're gonna get it. Like Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, Superman, Star Wars. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, come on, like
Indiana Jones. Yeah.
What are you gonna pull that I'm not gonna immediately recognize?
Hook. Yeah.
Hook. Here's what I'm gonna ask you, Sal. Why, with these scores, don't we do what we do with James Bond, where it doesn't matter who's James Bond?
It's just
that theme's gonna play because you know it and it's iconic. And then I think of, granted, Creed is a different character than Rocky, but one of the best modern moments in a 2000s movie is where they hold on to that iconic Rocky theme until the final fight. And I remember watching it, and it's like, oh, that feeling. It's like, why don't we do that with John Williams' score? Why isn't that just Superman's score that we keep for every movie? Same with Batman. Do keep the Danny Elfman score, just that's Batman's score.
I agree with you on some level, but on the same time, like, the Man of Steel score is so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that score. And it's really weird to hear Michael Keaton's Batman theme over Ben Affleck's Batman in that weirdo Justice League movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. It just doesn't, like, and I'm like, what are you doing? Honestly, it feels like you're trying to, like, make me think of something else. And I think with Superman, and like, it's just the deification of this movie and Chris Reeve in general, I think people using it again is like, don't do it. Like, that people don't want that. And they also want to lay claim to their own version. Thankfully, Iron Man doesn't have his own theme. It's just some music.
That's the thing. AC/DC. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I couldn't name to you a single.
The Avengers theme.
Yeah, because that's the Marvel theme.
Because it's the Marvel theme. Yeah, but it's like,
plays in front of every Marvel movie. And to your argument, I actually think Michael Giacchino's The Batman score is actually really great.
It is really great. I couldn't do it. I couldn't tell you it right now, unfortunately. I do like it. I like the music from the Nolan movies. Like, they all represent their own version of that character, and they're all really, really solid. There hasn't been a theme for Superman or Batman that I've been like, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except when they try to do it again.
When they try to do
it again. If in the Zack Snyder Man of Steel movie, when they like did that weird trickery where they put Chris Reeve's face on him when he's like hitting the space laser.
Yeah.
If they had played the Williams theme in that moment, I think people would have been like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. I guess you're right. Because it's not like James Bond, and that there hasn't been a nonstop, like, you're always getting one.
That's the thing. It's like, we're going to have to wait like 10 years to get another one. Like, although with James Bond, you never know if you're going to have to wait 10 years for another one.
So follow up to that super chat, Unpheasant 11, Gene Hackman had a mustache, and Donner was convincing him to shave it, saying he would also shave his, I guess, head. But plot twist, Donner's was a fake. Okay. So I guess Donner
Donner
had
and Hackman had
mustaches, and then he's like, if you shave yours, I'll shave mine. But his was fake. That's fun. That's
weird.
That was a fun little Hollywood
anecdote. I'm glad that Hackman didn't have a mustache. He would have looked weird. It would have been two 70s, more 70s.
Yeah. Well, again, what bothers me is like Lex Luthor is bald, and for some reason we hate Lex Luthor being bald. We hate it. We can't do it.
Well, I think it's because these actors are like, I don't want to be bald.
Yeah, too fucking bad. Again, Michael Rosenbaum had to do it for like what 7 years. You'll get over it. You get over it.
And what's her name? What did Gillen do it for Nebula? Like, did she shave her head, or is that a wig, or is that a cap?
Good question. I think maybe the first one, maybe she shaved it. And now it's like a piece.
Good. She doesn't have to shave, but she did it.
Well, and Nicholas Hoult has shaved his head, and it's like, yeah, man. Also, by the way, I think Nicholas Holt's going to do a really good job.
Oh, he's going to crush it.
Yeah, I think he's going to do a good job.
He's going to be as good as Lex Luthor as he would have been bad as Superman.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like he was up for Batman, he's up for Superman. Now he's Lex Luthor. I'm like, that's correct. That's good, because he's really good at smarmy asshole bad guy. Like he's good at that. So like that'll be good.
Yeah, and he's weird as Beast. I don't care for his Beast.
Yeah, and I do think it's important. I do think they're whatever. Sorry, gang. Sorry for the tangents, gang. I do think it's good for like Lex Luthor could be the protagonist if Superman didn't exist. Yeah. Like if this were an edgier, darker world without Superman, Lex Luthor could be the hero of the story, and that's part of the reason why he hates Superman. He hates him.
I would take a Nicholas Hoult Luthor movie, by the way. Like you know that, but I think it's Azzarello, but I'm not sure. I think it's with Bermejo.
Yeah, it was Azzarello and Bermejo, and then they did their follow-up Joker, which is still one of my favorite comics. Which it's bummed we didn't do that for the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. It's just a straight that comic because it's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so now the world is aware of Superman, Lex Luthor. Basically, there's a lot of yada yada and connect the dots. Like it's like Superman, like Lex Luthor's immediately aware, like, oh, this is my arch nemesis, Superman. I need to deal with this.
Yep.
And so because Superman in his interview with Lois reveals that he can't see through lead, which is so stupid, such a dumb move.
Why would you say that?
I would don't admit the thing you can't do. And then
but he's also like, that's what he is. Like he's like, no, people should know.
Nobody's going to use this against me. What are you talking? I'm just here to help.
Yeah.
So Lex basically, through some weird math that doesn't make sense on the stuff we've heard before, he calculates where Krypton would have been and when the stuff would have landed here. And I guess a rock from his world would have radiation that he couldn't defeat. And it's like, sure. I mean,
he's correct. A genius. Go for it.
Yeah, you're correct. And the heist for Kryptonite happens off screen, but we do learn they murder 2 people in the process. So Lex isn't as goofy as Lex is. Lex is not messing around.
True.
And I like this, by the way, and this is something we should do more often. Lex uses Superman's super hearing against them and creates a pitch that only Superman can hear.
Yes.
To communicate to him. And it's like, that's you utilize Superman's abilities in ways that we don't normally do, like to send him like the fucking Jimmy's watch. Like, why not use that to like buy Superman, come find me here, I got a gas bomb or whatever. I'm gonna kill people, you need to come stop me. Lex basically just does this to explain his evil plan to Superman. And again, I'm not trying to dunk on an iconic movie. I think Lex's plan is stupid.
It's horrible. It's always horrible. It's never good. But like, what is his plan going to be? You know, and they're like, I don't know. You know, it also, like, we're almost done with the movie anyway.
For real. Like, this is the first, we've got maybe 20 minutes left on this 2-hour, 20-minute movie. And we're just now getting to the conflict between Superman and Lex. Just now.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, you like it. Like, you're like, all right, cool. But also, like, geez, we took a while to get here.
Yeah. Tia480 said, I wanted Giacchino to do the Superman so bad, but he's doing Fantastic Four. By the way, we've heard a clip of his Fantastic Four theme, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty.
Was it played over that thing? Was it that Comic-Con footage?
Yeah, it was that Comic-Con. They played it. There was like a thing at D23, whatever the Disney thing is, where they like played it and they released it online, and it's like, yeah, some like Giacchino did the score for the first Doctor Strange, and I couldn't tell you what that is, but
it wasn't bad. It was Eastern inspired. It was okay, but like, you know, I was like, why didn't you get Silvestri? You had Sylvester come in to do the Avengers theme, but not all the other ones?
Yeah, but his incredible score, the Batman, it's like when dude hits, ooh baby.
Yeah, but there's also like, it's not like he's the only one. Like, there was a time where it's like, oh, you need somebody to do score? It's obviously gonna be Williams. But like Howard Shore, Silvestri, Giacchino, like there's a lot of different people who made amazing scores, like iconic stuff.
Yeah.
Like Lord of the Rings in general. It's just like, what? You know, like just all by itself. And no one ever goes like, oh, we should get him.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, so here's Lex's plan, gang. He has bought up a bunch of worthless real estate in, kind of like on the west part of the country. And he's going to basically nuke the San Andreas Fault so that California falls into the ocean so that the real estate he bought will now be worth more. And I just feel like
it's the same as his stupid plan in Returns, where it's like, no one's going to let you reap the benefits of this,
Yeah.
Like when it's over, you will be either like killed by the military or arrested. Like,
yeah. And I guess maybe if they don't know it was him that did it, but he is just walking around telling people, this is my plan. It's dumb.
It's dumb. But like, we need, we're obviously Superman can't punch him.
Yeah.
And we want to show that Superman has like a villain who he doesn't have to punch. Like, it's interesting. Look at like regular guy versus Superman,
Yeah.
And also Hackman clearly, like, like Brando himself had like a clause where he's like, I don't want to run.
Uh-huh.
If I can sit down, I'd love to be able to sit down. I don't want to be in the sun.
Yes. Yep.
I want clothes sets. I want one wardrobe, and that's it. And they're like, like, if we do change your clothing, it will be in a like 1920s burglar costume from Spirit Halloween.
I love that. Reminds me, Sam Jackson had a similar thing, like post Avengers, where he's like, I don't want to run. All right, don't make me run.
And I run at 75, and I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, and I like Winter Soldier's workaround, which was like cool, but we haven't had a really bitch and Nick Fury action scene, so we're gonna do one where you're in the car the whole time. I'm like that, and it's a great
good scene. You could just have him be stationary. He could be cool and like move around and stuff. Like he could John Wick without running, but also, like you that's art from adversity. Put him in a box. Make I don't understand why he wasn't holding a gun in the scene from Far From Home, and they had to digitally add that. But like, whatever,
man.
When he tranks Ned.
Yeah,
it's Far From Home. They put it in there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't. Let's not relitigate Far From Home. I don't want to revisit Far From Home. We're talking about Superman, and
we did that already. We did a Spider-Man show.
To your point, here's what works about it. It is another, and I do appreciate this because we don't ever get this anymore. Superman's big action scenes are all rescues.
Yes.
For the most part. He stops some burglars, but they're not like action scenes. The action scenes are rescues. And this provides another opportunity of massive Superman rescue because basically he launches two nukes. Hoisted by his own petard. One of them is going to blow up Miss Tessmacher's mom. And so
in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Yeah.
My mother lives in Hackensack. Good moment. Great moment. So funny.
But that, of course, it ruins his plans because Miss Tessmacher, who already has a crush on Superman, rescues him from the kryptonite that's keeping him from saving people. She also weirdly steals a kiss, which is like, that's not okay, Miss Tessmacher. 2024, we're not doing that. We're not stealing kisses while the guy's incapacitated.
Yeah, but we also like it adds that mythic nature. Like every woman loves Superman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love that we'd have to take a minute to like go, why did you do that?
Dude, I want to write a scene where Lois Lane is like, yeah, everybody loves Superman because they're able to project whatever they want on him. I'm married to the guy. Here's the things that he does that annoys me. All right, he does this, he does this, he does this. And don't get me wrong, I love him. But when you live with somebody, it's no longer
gonna be
it's a person that has these character traits, and sometimes they're annoying.
yeah. They weren't what you grew up with. So you're gonna have to cope.
Yeah, Superman poops with the door open, man. I can't get him to not.
I don't understand why. It's so weird, but he does it.
And let me tell you, those super poops have super smell because he's eating, dude. What he eats, he's Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I love that. That's in this movie where he's like, they ask him if he eats, and he's like, I don't have to eat, but I like to. And I'm like, what?
No, he says I eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't like it when we get too much into it. Like, he doesn't eat, he doesn't breathe. I don't like when we do that with Superman. I like the idea of like, well, yeah, if Superman was just Clark Kent, he wouldn't need to eat because he doesn't really exert himself, but he's Superman. So he's
Right,
lifting
so I need some
planets
kind
and
of
running
fuel.
trains and saving people because he's exerting himself more than a normal human would. So he needs sustenance.
Exactly.
That's how it works in my brain anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway,
thanks to the dim-witted Miss Tessmacher, Superman is back on the scene, which I think, and that's the reason why she exists, is so that she can fall hopelessly in love with Superman and then save him in the end. I mean, like, you know, I also really want that chain with the kryptonite on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that he didn't skimp on the chain. He's like, I'm gonna get a big ass chain for this.
Yeah, my pimp chain for my pimp suit, my ascot.
But yeah, so Superman, like a dunce, is like the way he saves himself. He's like, yeah, Miss Tessmacher, I'm going to save Hackensack, New Jersey first, as opposed to the entire Western Coast of the country.
West Coast, yeah.
And so he stops that missile, but unfortunately, the San Andreas Fault gets nuked. And he burrows underground, and this does lead to a really fucking dope shot where he's like lifting up the West Coast, like in the molten center of the earth. He's like lifting up, and there's this one shot. Richard Donner is smart. We don't do this enough in superhero movies where you punch out to like see the scope of the thing. Like we live, everything's like shot like TV now, where we kind of live here, and it's like, no man, cut out tiny ass Superman lifting up an entire continent on his back. It's like, that's sick.
Yeah, that is sick. It was cool. Although him being underground, like dealing with the lava, is like, it's got that old
silly, but it pays off in a cool way.
It completely does. But I'm like, this is cool. Yeah, no, and again, I think it's almost like Donner's like, I'm making a movie, but I think I'm engineering a myth.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. He's really not wrong. And this does set the precedent, whether he meant to or not, that you can do whatever you want in the comics. You can have it however many versions you want. But the second that thing ends up on screen, if it's iconic enough, like the Crystal Fortress of Solitude, that's it now.
That's going to be what everyone thinks of. Yeah.
Boom, that's it. And that's true for this movie, and it's basically true for every superhero movie since. Like, where you set up, this is what it is now.
Yeah.
Up to the modern day, where like, I was just reading articles that mentioned like it's easy to forget now how almost revisionist Heath Ledger's Joker was, how different it was. No acid, no whatever.
Yeah, no gags really. Like he doesn't have chattering teeth. It's just
this. Yeah, but that's it now. That is the Joker.
Oh yeah, no. Every version of Joker has the Glasgow smile, has the like the anarchy nature to it. Like you know, Gone is like the Aparo, long faced. Like kind of like, I'm not really crazy. I'm just kind of a like goofy asshole kind of Joker. Like, it will. And then one day they'll make another one, and he'll be just that.
And it'll be equally iconic. And again, I kind of hope that in this chase for iconic Jokers, I really feel like Clark Kent should be in that race. Like it should, as far as performers trying to make like an Oscar-worthy performance, I feel like Superman's a character you can do that with. Anyway, so
I agree.
Superman's laying himself across train tracks to stop trains from crashing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's the Hoover Dam. Maybe I'm just
it's the Hoover Dam.
Okay, maybe I'm just replacing other famous dams.
I saw it as the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, he stops it. He stops, saves a town from being flooded by a dam.
Yes, that
Superman
miniature work wasn't great on the town, but
I'm sure in the 70s it looked great.
I wonder, but like I feel like that's what this is about, right? It's almost like that's why at the very beginning of the movie when he's like, "Don't interfere in human affairs," blah blah blah. Like this, he's doing it, but it's too much. There's too much. Like he's stopping. Like I gotta stop the dam, and I gotta save this train, and I gotta save this people, and that's and Lois will die because I can't do everything.
You can't do
because
everything.
I'm not God, and it's like, you know what? Then I will be God.
Yeah, screw it.
Yeah, and it's like, but I don't know what that's trying to say. Like, I'd like to know what that's like. Let's talk. Like, maybe we can talk about that for a minute. But like, the idea of like, what is that? What is the movie trying to say? That Superman is a god and he should embrace it. Is that you can't save everyone? You know what I mean? Like, but there's something there where it's like, it's about like how, because at some point or other, you're watching all these spectacular sequences of rescue. He's holding up the whole damn side of the country. But like, while he's doing that, there's a fire over here. Like he can't do it all. And eventually he just has to stop it.
I think it is an artifact of, because originally, and we'll get into this more with Superman 2, originally both these movies were shot back to back, were supposed to be shot back to back. And so I think this is like an artifact. And originally this sequence, so what Sal's alluding to is while he's saving everybody, Lois Lane dies, which
in
again,
a really horrific.
I'm glad you said that, because so when I was watching this, my wife was with me. She's like, "This is tough," and I'm like, "Yeah," because
she's suffocated by rocks.
It's goofy. Superman laying himself on the tracks, saving the day, dropping boulders to stop floods. Meanwhile, like Lois Lane's suffocating to death, and it's like,
yeah.
And so his solution to this is he flies backwards around the planet and literally rewinds time. And don't think about it too hard, because it's like, then there are two of them, and that's how he saves Lois. Does he rewrite? Whatever.
Right.
He saves Lois. And I think this is, even then, we're trying to mess with fan expectation. Of course, Lois is safe, but what if she's not, kind of a thing? Like, what if, whatever. And this sequence was originally supposed to be in Superman 2, where he rewinds time. And so I feel like this whole aspect of it about Jor-El being like, don't interfere, is an artifact. There's something that would have paid off differently if things went according to plan.
Okay.
In today's day and age, this would have been a plot point in Superman 3. Guess what? You doing all this stuff is now, this is what Jor-El was talking about. Because you did this, now you're facing Time Trap or whoever.
Okay, that's fine.
You know what I mean?
There's no way they would have used a character from comics.
No. Nope, that is correct. I don't know why.
Right?
Superman in particular is people making Superman movies are so allergic to using Superman villains. Like, because I like the George Reeve Superman show. Does Lex Luthor even show up in that show?
I don't think so.
Think he does.
Yeah,
why? He's just the guy.
Yeah, he's the cheapest one. Yeah, I know.
Metallo, we still don't have Metallo. We don't have Parasite. We don't have Brainiac. We don't have Bizarro. Dude, we don't have a movie where he fights Bizarro. It's the same actor in other makeup. Like, what are we doing?
I agree. I know.
God, we've got more Doomsday. We've had Doomsday in live action more than freaking Bizarro, for crying out loud. Yeah. God damn it. Anyway.
Frustrating.
So yeah, I don't know. That was, it felt like when you're watching a Marvel modern movie, a modern Marvel movie where you're like, oh, okay, so this is something from a rewrite where this mattered and now it doesn't. But for some reason, here,
yeah.
So again, Superman ahead of the curve in so many ways. But he saves Lois. He rewinds time, saves Lois, captures Lex Luthor, drops him off at prison, where Lex finally rips off the wig and we see that he's bald. And literally, that's the end of the dude. Okay, so this is the one that got me, that felt like really dated. Superman looks at a prison warden, is like, thanks, Superman. You saved the day. And Superman's like, don't worry about it. We're on the same team. And I'm like, I would not have that line in a modern Superman movie. I would not have Superman looking at a prison warden of all things and being like, yeah, you and me, gang.
We're on the same team.
We're on the same guy. We're the same guy.
Yeah. But it's it's supposed to feel like that. It's very goofy. It's very old school. And I get it.
And then Superman flies off, and that's the end. The end. And I was like, oh, all right. No.
Oh, it's over.
No, you're making out with Lois? Just the end. All right, cool.
Yeah, no. I saved Lois. He didn't even tell her who he is.
Nope. And that is the end of Superman the movie. So real quick, I know just a couple things behind the scenes stuff. I did want to list off some of the people that were considered for Superman that were like part of the conversation.
Sure.
Muhammad Ali.
Oh my God.
Al Pacino, James Caan, who I love.
So they watched Godfather.
They watched, dude, for real. I am a huge fan of Thief. It's one of the Michael Mann movie Thief. It's one of my favorite movies. James Caan is fantastic in it. He would have been an awful fucking Superman. What are you doing?
Yes. Oh my God.
He would have been so awful. Bad.
He would have been as bad as Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood. All these are awful. Dustin Hoffman. Robert Redford was offered the role, but he felt he was too famous, which tells me two things. One, of the list, that is the closest.
The best one.
And also, one of the reasons Robert Redford is iconic is he has good instincts, because he is right.
He really does.
He would be too famous. Getting Unknown is the correct answer to the question. Completely. Who should be Superman?
Yep.
Burt Reynolds was apparently offered. Sylvester Stallone was interested. Paul Newman was offered his choice of roles as Superman, Lex Luthor, or Jor-El, and he turned all of them down.
Wow.
John Wayne's son, Patrick Wayne, was cast but had to be dropped. This is such serendipity. He had to drop out when his father was diagnosed with stomach cancer. And Christopher Reeve earned $250,000 for the role in comparison to $3.7 million for Brando and $2 million for Gene Hackman, not Hugh Jackman.
That's outrageous that Jor-El is even in the movie. Like, to get $3.7 million to be a character that could have been cut entirely from the picture.
Yes, absolutely. Here's some of the directors that were up for it. Francis Ford Coppola, William Friedkin, Richard Lesser, who went on to do Superman 2. And we'll get into that with Superman 2 because he already had a beef with the Salkinds before he was brought on as a consultant for this movie and ended up taking over Superman 2. Mm-hmm. He apparently told Dick Donner, like, dude, the Salkinds still haven't paid me for the last project. You're gonna do this, and you're gonna tell the next guy what I'm telling you that you shouldn't do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Peter Yates, John Gillerman, Ronald Neame, and Sam Peckinpah.
Wow.
But Sam Peckinpah lost it because apparently he pulled a gun in the meeting. It's like, yeah, it's Sam Peckinpah. Why were you even talking? The Wild Bunch, why are you even talking to this guy for Superman?
Because it's the 70s. Like, they're just like, we're making a big picture here, folks. We're talking about people who are making decisions about movies, and they're referring to the movies as pictures.
As pictures. George Lucas turned down the offer because of his commitment to Star Wars. And to your point, and I said earlier, like, I guess in the 70s, this probably stood up well. I will say, this did make me, it's hard to have happy thoughts about Star Wars because of how toxic the fandom has gotten. But you think about it, those original Star Wars movies, they still look good, which is insane. That's insane.
I know. Yeah, and George would have been like really consumed with how like this movie looked.
Yes.
So yeah, he would have been like,
we would have spent half the movie would have been on Krypton. Here's all the kooky aliens on Krypton.
Yeah, it's true. But we would have gotten Carrot. You know what though?
Yeah.
Someone would have showed up. Like with a Brainiac or
Brainiac.
Paris.
You're right. You're absolutely
he was
right.
In the 80s, but like still, it would have been. Yeah. That would be cool.
Tia 480 said the villain of the new Superman will be Rogol Zar in the Justice League fight Tempest Fugonaut.
He's making two me references because I hate both those characters.
Gotcha.
Rogol Zar is a Bendis invention of a new Darkseid meets Doomsday type villain for Superman to fight.
He's the one that killed Krypton, right?
He's the one who blew up Krypton.
It should just be Brainiac. If we're gonna have somebody kill Krypton, it should just be Brainiac.
No, but when you fall in love with Rogol Zar and TV falls in love with him because I'm also making Naomi so that it'll become a show, and then I worm my way into the into Warner Brothers, and we start making Superman movies. Rogol Zar will be a character, and I will get a huge check like my Miles Morales checks. None of that happened. I got fired. Okay, never mind.
Wait, isn't Tempest Fugonaut the gold-faced guy that was in...
Tempest Fugonaut, now we're talking about Rogol Zar. Tempest Fugonaut is the Watcher of the DC Universe who also got unceremoniously killed in the backup of an Action Comics annual.
But I actually don't hate Tempest because it's like, what if DC had like a Galactus, but he was also the Watcher? I'm like, I don't hate that.
I loathe him because of how obvious he is. I'm like, you are a ripoff. Of a ripoff, like
it's like when they introduce Argus. It's like, guys, you already have Checkmate.
You don't need another one. You need two.
You don't need a shield. You don't need your own shield. Come on.
Especially when no one's going to refer to them.
No.
But it's awful.
Okay, so in the future, we're going to rank these movies, but unsurprisingly, we're running a little long. If you're not familiar with our previous show, Sal and I tend to run long. We like to shoot the shit. This is our time to hang out. Okay. But before we go, I do want to steal something we did from Mutant Academy, which is we're talking about James Gunn's upcoming Superman. Yeah. What, if anything, do you think will be pulled from this movie for future Superman movies? The new DCU Superman, and of course we got to take off Miss Tessmacher and Otis because we already know that they're going to be in it.
Right, and the fact that I think Chris Reeve's son is in it.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing we're going to get out of this is the transformation between Clark and Superman, like the visual transformation.
Yeah,
where it's going to be a lot of like they're going to put a lot on Corin Sweat to like All-Star Superman it, and it's like All-Star Superman got it from this more or less. Where it's like no, he's going to have to like play it, really hunch over and do that element. I think that we will see a moment where he will like straighten up and take off his glasses and be Superman for a minute. Yeah. And like just show you his prowess.
I am surprised with how hard we chase this movie, I'm surprised we don't chase that scene more. Like every new Superman should have a scene where in the scene he physically, you see him change his posture from Clark to Superman. Like that should be in every one of these. Like why not? Every time you get a new guy.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I do hope we get a better. So we get a fun sequence in this where, because again, even the first Super movie, we're doing callbacks because Lois is in danger. He goes to find a phone booth, and it's not that phone booths don't exist. It's that it's this weird. It's just you don't walk in, like it doesn't cover your whole body.
Yeah.
So he does a classic shirt pull, but he goes into a building. Doesn't go.
Oh, that's coming. Door. Yeah, big time.
Okay. There's another scene, and I actually like the setup for this, where he like basically like drops himself out a window to become Superman. That's cool. What I don't like is that the suit just kind of appears on him.
No, I don't like that either.
And that did make me think about how chunky the gun suit is, and it's like, how are we gonna handle the transitions into the costume?
Yeah, it's just gonna be him going. There's that beautiful Alex Ross sequence where we show like halfway, him transforming from Clark to Superman. It'll look like that.
Yeah,
dude. Even Raimi took it. There's a sequence in Spider-Man where he's just doing this, and I'm like, no. I'm gonna be so mad.
It's a different character. It's a different one.
This is not Superman. Stop referencing Superman. But you know what's funny? Time was not on my side. Spider-Man is the Superman of our time.
Mm-hmm.
Raimi's Spider-Man is this movie.
Yeah, I agree. You made the argument. I can't remember what show it was on, but you made the argument that is as much of a touchstone now. And I think as Superman was then, and I think you're 100% right, because it is the dawn of the
modern superhero
movement. Yeah. And it owes a lot to this, which is kind of like, well, maybe just watch Sam Raimi's Superman because that's the more modern version of what this.
That's exactly right. Like, no. Feige says he shows Superman, but he really shows Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But he's like, we don't know Spider-Man. I don't want to friggin' help Sony out anymore.
Exactly. I hope Sony's branding. Tia480 says, I'm sorry, but Clark's hair looks distractingly stupid in the new movie. Sure, it's a good disguise, but it also screws up his social life.
Well, then you don't like people who are under the age of 30 because like that's a popular hairstyle.
And it's also, we've only seen them with set photos, so we don't know how it's going to look.
It's very different.
The same way I feel about the suit. I'm on the fence about the suit, but maybe once I see it in the movie, I'll be all about it. And I will say my big thing that I've always kind of felt like is I think the glasses thing totally works as long as you're not directly interacting. Like if Lois is having whole interactions with both Superman and Clark, it's not gonna work.
It works because I don't think Lois looks at him.
Yeah, I think
like when she's talking to him, she's usually working.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm aware of Clark. Like we met when I shook his hand when we first met. I hadn't met Superman yet.
Yeah.
So I met him. We had our interaction, but like now he's a fixture in my life, like Jimmy. Like how many times does Lois look Jimmy Olsen in the eyes? Probably once ever in her life.
Yeah.
With Clark, it's the same thing. Like she's never gonna look at him. She's got tunnel vision when it comes to that. Especially the actor they got. Is it Miss Maisel?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So,
I think she's going to be great, and I'm excited. And here's something I don't think we're going to do. I don't think we're going to do the origin again, which I think is smart.
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't. If anything, it'll be something like All Star because he's referenced All Star as a point of reference.
Yep.
And I do hope that instead of doing what Man of Steel did, where it's like, I'm not going to do any of this stuff, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
I do hope they chase the right aspect. Like I want to make a Superman movie as iconic as that movie was then, but now.
Yeah.
And you chase the right moments. Like we talked a lot about the Pa Kent scene. It's like, that's the type of moments you need to try and recreate because that's what grounds you.
Yeah.
And the humanity of the character.
Well, and like, you know what I think is another really important thing is don't chase like iconic. Just make the most honest movie. Just like when they made Iron Man. Like I honestly, Spider-Man is like the template for not just the modern superhero movie, but like for morality for people, like just the way that superheroes are. But like Iron Man is the template for the modern superhero movie. And it's so frustrating how far Marvel has strayed from it. I'm like, well, like, when they were like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is Iron Man and the Iron Man. And it's like, oh, Doctor Strange is Iron Man, but with magic. And it's like, yeah, that works really, really well, especially with Marvel.
Yeah.
Did I want to see Iron Man, but Spider-Man? Like where just make a Spider-Man movie as earnestly and directly and deliberately as you made Iron Man? Yeah. Did you do that? No.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see as we build up to this. Next, obviously, is going to be Superman 2. I think we got a question in here like, are you guys going to do the Donner cut? I think No.
Yeah, right? I don't think so.
I don't think so, because especially since it pulls from this movie, I think we're going to do the theatrical release, because then, we're going to get in the modern movies. Are we going to do the Snyder cut? Ugh.
No. No. I can't again. I can't do it.
So I think we're going to do the theatrical version, which I believe is on Max, which is how I watch this movie, which if you want to watch these movies along with us, we're going to do this once a month. So this month was Superman the movie, next one's Superman 2, Superman 3, onward. We are going to be doing Supergirl, and we're going to do, we're going to get into the Man of Steels and all that stuff. So stay tuned for all of that. If you want more shows like this, where Sal and I talk about X-Men, you can do that over patreon.com/onlystupid-answers. Sal, where can they find what you're working on?
Oh, swing by youtube.com/comic-pop and Comic Pop Returns, 2 different channels, but making just as much content as you would like. We got not scripted, but like sit down, edited shows, and mostly podcasts like these over on Returns.
So check all that out. There will be links, if they're not already, in the description. And thank you all for joining us on my personal channel. This is the first live thing we've done on personal channel. There will be more content dropping here. Slash Pick, which was a show on OSA, will be moving over to here this month. We're doing Halloween, and it timed out that the covering Halloween is landing on in the spooky season. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. I will be continuing to do Trash Talk, where I do one-on-one discussions with people. I'm booking guests as we speak. So stay tuned for all of that, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.